Hi, Rebekah. Thank you for joining us today. Very excited to talk to you and hear about your thoughts around unified retail experiences and all the experiences that you have within that remit. So, if you can just start us off with an easy one, let us know a bit more about Rekon Retail, your role there, and what that encompasses.
Yeah, so thank you, Sarah. So excited to be here. Lovely. So Rekon Retail was kind of born out of many, many years, decades of frontline retail experience. So we are a physical retail agency that helps brands enter and expand their owned retail footprint. So the use case is direct-to-consumer brand, has sold online, is very successful, kind of sees retail as potentially the next channel for them to expand, acquire new customers, et cetera, keep top line growth going, and doesn't really know where to start because they've only ever made a website and marketed on social media or through influencer marketing. And so that's where Rekon was born. So I kind of started my career at Starbucks and then moved on to Apple. And so got this great foundation and then went to kind of, I guess, D2C 1.0, which would be Warby Parker, and then was with Outdoor Voices in the very early days when they were expanding stores. I know recently they have not been doing that. And then kind of like started figuring out that brands really need this. This is something that as they're looking to move into physical retail, there's not a knowledge base on the inside of the company. And so created Rekon Retail. I am founder and managing partner of Rekon Retail. And, now we've just been helping brands scale and improve, operationalize owned retail as well.
Sounds like a pretty exciting gig as well.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. So you've worked with some pretty incredible brands, both prior to Rekon and now, but can you tell us a bit more about one of the standout store campaigns or installations that you've done in the last year or so?
Yeah, so we don't have favorites. I don't have favorites. I just want to say for the record, all of the children are equally loved. But I think there are a couple that come to mind. I'll say one that is coming up, and then one that we have worked with for really several years now. And so one that we've worked with to kind of expand and bring the vision into like a really scalable model is LaFleur. They are a women's workwear company that they kind of do workwear and a bit of everything now, and outfit a lot of politicians and et cetera, and have this great story. The founder, Sarah LaFleur, is, they had a great brand already. And so there was already something there to work with. And they even had a pretty cohesive store design. They had some elements that, kind of a mural element that they really loved, that they felt helped introduce the customer to the brand. But really what we have done is come in and helped them to how do we make that repeatable? Like, how do we now take these very special elements from your boutiques that actually started as showrooms kind of in their office, right? Like we've heard that story before, like showrooms in the office. And now how do we take them and make it so that we can actually go to different countries, different states, different store sizes, different geographies, and really expand the fleet without like reinventing the wheel every single time. You shouldn't be opening the store for the first time when it's your fifth store, right? And so that's something that we've really been working with them on. They just opened Philadelphia actually this past weekend. I was there. I popped in to say hello. I will be posting about that soon. And they have a couple more coming. So that's been very exciting. And then one we've been working on that is not yet open, so you cannot go yet, but will be in late summer, is a baby furniture brand called Baby Leto. We're very excited about this brand because they are part of a family-owned baby furniture kind of company that's a conglomerate. There are several brands within this, major parent brand. But Baby Leto is really the one that, kind of has the eye of Instagram and the influencers, and it's what all of the celebrities buy as their baby furniture. And so now how do you take that buzz and kind of put it into a physical experience, right? And so, we helped them to RFP a design firm that's helping to do this, but really like it's all about that customer experience. It can be, depending on if it's a first-time parent, it can be kind of a ambiguous time, right? You have this thing in your belly and you've never had one before. And so what happens when it comes out? And, there's a lot of like nervousness and hesitancy. And so to be able to come in and be that expert. So that store will actually be opening later this year on Melrose. So stay tuned in LA. If you're in LA, please stop by. But very excited about both of those brands and their retail presence.
Amazing. I wish that baby store was in New York. I could have paid a visit in September.
I know. We're like, next one, please. Can you like next store in New York, please? Yeah. I'm sure we'll see how this one does, but I'm sure that is,
bring it
has been a thought.
Yeah. So you're speaking at FUTR North America. You're moderating our panel on shopping everywhere all at once, essentially, but focusing on the customer and unified retail experiences. So you kind of alluded to that there with both of those examples, and Baby Letter particularly. I think we said they've got a very strong social following. And you did speak a little bit about this, but could you explain a bit more about how brands should unify both those digital and physical experiences? I mean, that's a huge question. So maybe narrow it down to 2 or 3 main points that they need to look at, and how you kind of carry that brand voice right through, and also from a customer experience perspective as well.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a loaded question. And so, I hope everyone attends FUTR North America to hear more about that on the panel. But I think there are a couple of things. And look, none of this should be surprising or new information, but having worked with direct-to-consumer brands going into physical, it is something that kind of comes up as a repeated theme. And so I think the first thing would be have your customer data available across all channels. And what I mean by that is if a customer has purchased online multiple times, their preferences, you probably serve them text or specific email campaigns or something like that. When they come in the store, you should already know them, right? And not to say like the store associate's going to recognize them or something like that. No, but I mean, there should be some systematic way for the associate to then look up, oh, Mrs. Berkowitz, I see that you were in here last month and you bought XYZ product. How did you like that? We actually have something similar that we got. It's right over here. This is how you can kind of create personalized experiences. And, there seems to be, it's getting better, but there seems to be a real disconnect between the data that's online, the data that has been captured through e-commerce, and the data that's available in retail. And, so I think working to kind of bridge that gap and, create the systems to cross-functionally populate so that customer data is everywhere is really critical. Customers expect it. They're kind of baffled if you can't look up their previous order history in the store and they order things online. So I would say that's the first one. And then I think the second one is just really consistent messaging, right? I mean, the store and the website, or the store and the social channels, or whatever the brand is putting out into the world digitally should not be disconnected. They should actually be saying the same things. And so, similarly, if you're having a sale or you're having a campaign, or there's some sort of, new video of an influencer that you're pushing out through e-commerce or pushing out through, email marketing, something like that, the store team should be made aware of that, so that when a customer comes in and says, oh, I saw your campaign where Lizzo was, whatever she was doing in your product. Like, I think that the store team shouldn't be surprised. They shouldn't have to act like, oh yeah, that campaign with Lizzo. Like, no, actually tell them what's going on so that they can be a representative of your brand. So, I think those are and again, like, they're not rocket science, like 2 very simple things, but kind of these things that can make an outsized impact when a customer comes into the store when you have your first physical retail environment.
Yeah, you're right. It's not new, but it's still not being done. I mean, I can't think of actually the last time I did have that experience of of, somebody knowing my previous purchase history, really.
Yeah. And, hospitality, actually, not to like totally sidebar, hospitality does this really well. Like, think about a high-end hotel experience, right? Or a high-end restaurant experience. They know when you were there. They know exactly how much money you spent. They know your names. They know your kids' names. They know, it's kind of this like, we could take a page from hospitality, and actually several brands have. I mean, Apple kind of famously models their training off of Ritz-Carlton, right? So like, I think several brands have done this, but I think we need to kind of figure out how to do this a little bit better in pure play commerce than in hospitality.
Yeah, agreed. Aside from the brands that you work with, because that would be, don't want to give them too much promo. Are there brands that you think are doing that unified experience particularly well?
This is a really good question. I was trying to think about like, what have I purchased recently that I had like a great purchase follow-up experience. And I was in Sephora recently. I'm in Sephora kind of frequently now that I have a 12-year-old daughter, and bought some, I don't know, skincare or something, who knows, something. And what I think they do really well is they kind of have this like, they know what I bought. And now when I log in online, as long as I'm logged into my customer profile, it basically kind of feeds me the same type of products. Like, I don't buy a lot of makeup, I buy a lot of skincare. So my entire dashboard is like skincare, not necessarily, maybe a few pieces of makeup thrown in there, but like not necessarily a ton of makeup. Like that, I'm sure is just, and I don't think there's a human behind that. There's an algorithm, but they've set up that system so that, it is showing me the things that I am most likely to buy. And as a customer, I have to say, I appreciate that, right? Like, even though I know, oh, this is like machines serving me this information, it's still quite valuable because I can go on and look at what new, I don't know, toner they have this week or what's on promo this week. So I would say that's one. And that, CPG kind of, that's a very specific like niche in my mind of like retail, right? There's not a lot of like owned CPG brands that have owned stores. So, it's more like they're all in kind of retailers, Sephora, Ulta, especially in the beauty sector. I was like trying to think of another good one that's like non-CPG that I've done recently. I mean, this one is like a little bit of a pop-up and quite niche. But I was shopping for some like activewear, like dancewear actually is like activewear. And this company called Elevate has a pop-up on the Upper West Side right now. And I went in and they didn't have the piece that I wanted. And so I was able to order, they allow you to customize, so I could get it in a different color, et cetera. And so I bought the thing, it was not like overly cheap. Like, these are, cost like over $100 kind of thing. And so I was like, okay, I hope this is turning out okay. And then I got a follow-up email that was like, hey, we saw this is your first custom order. Here's what you can expect from here on out. And then like 2 days later, I got another follow-up email that was like, hey, we actually just wanted you to know that this fabric that you selected, we don't recommend it for this type of wear. And we'd recommend this other fabric that's in the same color. And I was like, what? Like, okay, yes, please use the fabric that you recommend. I'm not a designer. I don't design activewear. I have no idea. Thank you so much for letting me know. And so I was kind of like, what a great, like a teeny tiny brand. Doesn't really have retail. Again, this was a pop-up, but like I was kind of blown away and like, why don't I get this experience at like Lululemon, for example, So yeah, that's a recent example that honestly is quite niche, but I think can be imitated across the board.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing because it creates brand loyalty as